Hello everyone, and welcome back to the second to last video in my JavaScript for Beginners tutorial series. Now, I did make a bit of a mistake in the intro to my previous video because I am now planning a kind of final what's next slash in the future like kind of video for this series, which will go over a bit of like what to do next. I'll probably refer some of my future tutorial series that I will be making and kind of where to carry on with the knowledge that you've gained from this one. And really that is kind of what I'm going to be doing. I think the next from here you can go into my intro to web development course, which I will be releasing on YouTube after this series is finished, and then in the future intermediate JavaScript, and then like intro to Node.js, intro to the back end. And what I really want to do is for you to be able to take this and then take like intro to web development or intro to Node.js, or even after that intro to React.js, stuff like that. And from learning those, you would actually be able to create a developer portfolio and get a job. Like, you know, that's really what, like, for example, code boot camps do. They teach you how to code. They make you, like, they have you make some projects, and then you're off to apply to jobs and make six figures basically. It's not easy. Don't, like, you know, I'm making it sound like it's a walk in the park, but really, if you just follow, you know, some sort of tutorial series and you keep learning and you create projects, that's really the only true prerequisite to becoming a programmer. Like, you know, like that. Because there's plenty of people who get in who don't have degrees and have graduated web boot camps, for example. But I digress a bit. Let's go ahead and get back on topic for what this video is supposed to be. In this video, we are going to be finishing up our intro project, which was, if you don't remember, it was that little to-do list application. And we are going to basically be implementing the loop, the program loop, where we keep asking the user for input, and then whatever the user says, we will basically do it. So let's get started by opening up our code. All right. Let me open up to this here. I'm going to start by starting up our web server. I'm going to inspect element, or whoops, not here. On this one, inspect, and then go to our console and reload. Okay, great. So if you remember, this is where we left off in the previous video. We were kind of printing these four, and then so we added 4 items, we printed, and then we removed 1 item and printed again. And that's where we get these 4 items and then these 3 items. But we're going to go ahead and remove this manual calling, because this is what we're doing. We're manually calling these functions. We are manually saying add this to the list, add this to the list. But what we want to be able to do is have our program kind of ask the user, like, what do you want to add? What do you want to do? So we're going to go ahead and start off by creating a variable for the user input, which we must start, because of course if we want to get their input, then we need to create a variable to hold it. And then what we will do is we're going to do a while loop. And if you remember, a while loop, as opposed to a for loop, which we used here, is when we don't know when we want to stop looping. And in this case, where we're getting user input and we want to keep looping until the user does not want to loop anymore, then we don't know when we want to stop. So we just say while user input. And if you remember, to check if something is equal to, you type in 2 equals, because 1 equals means assignment. But remember, to check if something is not equal to, you put an exclamation and then an equal, and you put them together. My editor like makes it look like an actual not equals, but on your computer you'll see an exclamation point and then an equals next to each other. And then while user input is not equal to exit, for example, then we want to console.log what do you want to do. So far, what we've done is we are declaring a variable called user input, and we're setting it to an empty string, so it's nothing right now. And then we are saying as long as the user input is not exit, which as an empty string, it is not exit. Unless I typed in exit here, they're not equal. So this will run. And then it'll print what do you do, or what do you want to do. And then if you remember, to get user input, we basically say user input because we want to set our variable, remember, and then assignment. Assignment takes whatever's on the right and puts it into the left. And we want to do prompt, which was, if you remember from the 2 videos ago when we were going over miscellaneous topics, I kind of showed you how to do basic inputting, and we will go further into this in the Intro to Web Development course, which I'll be doing next. So we want to prompt, and when I say course, sorry, don't get me wrong, I'm not charging anything. This is on YouTube, it's free. But prompt, oh wait, sorry, my bad. So we want to go ahead and take this question here, this prompt, and we want to put it in here. And then we want to remove this console.log because we don't need to print. Prompt takes in a string or it takes in nothing. When you give prompt a string, it'll actually print it for you. So it's like doing a console.log, but you just don't actually have to do a console.log. So we're setting user input equals to prompt, what do you want to do? Now, if we kind of just leave it here and we reload, you'll see it says, what do you want to do? And then if I type something in, it'll just keep asking me over and over. Except if I type in exit, it quits because I say user input and then we type in exit, so it puts exit into here. And then the while loop checks, is user input not equal to exit? Well, if user input is exit at that point, exit is not equal to exit, that's not true. So it leaves the loop. So that is why it does that. And then now we want to kind of go into a conditional chain, if you remember that. If not, remember, if you are forgetting any of these topics, you can go ahead and check out the corresponding video playlist linked in the description, where I kind of went over all of the different topics I am combining now to create a full program. So we want to check if our user input is equal to, 2 equal signs next to each other, and then add. We want to basically do to-do list, dot remember means possession, or like like the to-do list owns add to list, because if you see this to-do list here is an object and then add to list is one of its items. So to-do list dot add to list, and that is a function, and we give it our user input, or sorry, my bad, we want to actually get the item. So let item equals prompt right here, and then we can say like, what do you want to add? And then we want to go ahead and add the item. So again, let's go through this, step through this line by line. So we are setting our user input to an empty string. We are checking if it's not equal to exit, which is true. And then we are resetting it by prompting the user, what do you want to do? And if the user types in add, then it'll check, does the user input equal add? If it does, prompt them again, what do you want to add? And then store that into this item variable, and then go ahead and add the item to our list. And this add to list function we created in the last video, where it basically takes in a string and it pushes that string onto our list data array, which means it'll add it to the to-do list basically. And then after that, we want to go ahead and type in else if, and then user input is equal to remove. And then we're basically going to follow the same line of logic here. We want to prompt them, what do you want to remove? And then we're going to go ahead and to-do list dot remove from list our item. Great. So after that, we want to basically, if it's not add or remove, we want to check again, is the user input equal to print? We want to go ahead and just do a to-do list dot print list, which is another function. It doesn't take anything in, but it actually prints out our list. So if I go ahead and save this and we reload, it says, what do you want to do? Let's try adding. Let's add a buy eggs. Boom. Okay, it says, what do you want to do again? Let's go ahead and add refill water bottle. And then let's add one more item, buy books, I don't know. And then we want to print. And then let's go ahead. So it's not, okay, we buy eggs, refill water bottle, buy books, and then an empty space. If we print again, it basically prints the same list. If we want to remove, let's say we want to remove buy eggs, and then if we print again, refill water bottle, buy books. Buy eggs is gone because we removed it. So notice, we didn't write our program to do this, like we did, but we didn't write our program to have a list with refill water bottle and buy books. We literally put it in the user's hands. Like the user can input whatever they want into this. You can say add, and then you can say this random string, and then we can print it, and then it's in there. Like, so our code did not anticipate that the user would do this, but we made it so that the user can. And that's kind of or the beginnings of what JavaScript is actually used for often in the real world. It's used for adding a somewhat of an interactivity to websites, and it's often we actually don't use this. If you ever see this pop-up box with this text, this is kind of like uncommon. Most often you'll see a little text box like on a website, and then you click some submit button or something, and then that's how we input. And again, when you do that, you actually use HTML to create the text box, but then you use JavaScript to actually do stuff. Like you use JavaScript to take that input and then charge a credit card, or take that input and order something to be shipped somewhere, or you take that and you check like you check like the weather. You take their input and you use JavaScript to do stuff and give stuff back to the user. So it's the interactivity layer. Anyways, that was pretty much the rest of this project. As you can see, we now have a fully functioning to-do list. Of course, it's all in the console. Like, this is not an actual program people would use, but it does make use of pretty much every concept that we've learned so far: variables, conditionals, loops, functions, arrays, objects, the various miscellaneous topics, including including input. And that was pretty much what we've learned in this tutorial series. Now, as I said previously, I'm going to be creating a what's next sort of video in which I'll be covering like what comes next after this tutorial series. So if you happen to miss any of the previous videos in this series, go ahead and check out the playlist linked in the description. I usually say where I'll be uploading daily, but this is one of the last videos in this series. I will continue uploading daily in my new series, of course. If you like the video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notifications whenever I post new videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.